In this segment of how to keep your bass boat alive, we're going to get rid of this old, worn-out, skanky carpet and put some brand new plush marine carpeting in there. First thing we need to do is remove the lids, and they're screwed in with stainless steel screws. Before you get started, get a nice plastic bag to put your screws in so you don't lose them. And now we get to use some power tools. Time to have a little bit of fun here. All right, I've got one of my lids, my deck lids. This one happens to be for the live well. And I'm going to show you how to do one because they're all the same. You do them all the same. So the first thing you want to do is get rid of all the hardware. Be sure to save all those stainless steel screws, nuts and bolts and hinges, and the locks. Put them in a plastic bag so you know where they are when it's time to reinstall the lids in your bass boat. Well, now we've got our hardware removed. The next step is to peel off the old carpeting. And since it's old and the glue is not in good shape, it shouldn't be too hard to do this. But even so, you want to be careful because you don't want to rip this carpeting. You want to take it off all in one piece because you're going to use it as a template to cut your new carpets. So just take your time, make sure you get it off without damaging anything. At this stage, you'll need marine grade carpeting and marine grade carpet glue. I got mine from bassboatseats.com. An 8x20 foot roll did the job for me, and 2 gallons of carpet glue. I chose the 20-ounce carpeting. It wasn't the lightest, it wasn't the heaviest, but it's really great carpeting. I'm very pleased with it. It cost about $300 for the glue and the carpeting, shipping included. Well, I got a little ahead of myself, which is kind of normal for me, and I'd already cut out the carpeting, the new carpeting, before I filmed it. But it's really no big deal. It's pretty basic. I'm going to show you how to do it right here. First thing, you get some new carpeting, lay it down, bottom up, and then you lay the old carpeting to use as a template right on top of it. Now, you need to use some weight to hold it in place, especially the bigger pieces so they don't shift on you while you're moving about and tracing it. So in my case, I'm going to use a couple boxes of 22 ammo. And you just get a nice Sharpie marker and just lay this down and come right along the edge here. Just trace it. And just take your time, make sure you get it right. And be especially careful around these corners because they're cut just right so that it'll fit around those corners so you get a nice tight fit. Now after you've made your outline, all you got to do is get a nice sharp pair of scissors and just cut right along that line. It kind of surprised me that I thought I'd have to use a razor knife to cut this carpeting, but that's not the case. You can cut it quite easily with a pair of scissors. Before you can glue the new carpeting onto your lid, you have to clean it off. There's all kinds of crud on here, old glue. You like a nice clean surface so you get good adhesion. The fastest way I found to do this, I've got my polisher here. I put 40 grit sandpaper on here. This is nasty. You're about to throw crap everywhere, so wear some old clothes, some throwaways. I got one's got some holes in it from a campfire, maybe a cigar, I don't know. But you know, just wear some dirty stuff and get ready to make a mess. Now my polisher is about to die. Ooh, so if it gets out of me, I'm going to have to go get another one. Also, I got my surgeon's mask here. You're going to be throwing a lot of dust, so you don't want to be breathing it. After you've cleaned off the outside of the lid, it's very important that you come on the inside lip. You have to get good adhesion here if this carpet's going to stay. So there's probably some old glue in here and just dirt and grunge. You have to do whatever it takes to get it out of there. I use a scraper and some sandpaper, and you just go to work. It's kind of a pain, but there's no other way to get it out of there. I got this front deck lid all cleaned off and ready to go, and it's time to start applying glue. So we've got the glue. You need to stir it up, which I've done. This stuff kind of surprised me. I thought it would be pasty, but it's not. It's very milky, which means it's messy to work with. So you need to keep a damp cloth handy. This stuff is water soluble as long as it's not dry. So if you spill any, you get somewhere you don't want it, you can wipe it up real quick. Wear your old clothes, get some latex gloves. You don't want this stuff on your hands. Now I'm going to use a trowel with a 1/16 depth in it, kind of a serrated edge, and I'm going to use this too. So you just want to get like a 1/16 inch of glue all over here. So just take your time and be careful. This is kind of a pain to do, but and it's messy, so we'll just do our best here. You probably noticed that I didn't put the glue on the edges of the lid. That's because I'm going to do it after I press the lid upside down on top of the carpet. I've got my carpet all cleaned up and laid out, cut to fit, so now I'm going to put the lid on top of it. All right, you want to line this up so that it lines up with those four edges just right. Okay, that looks pretty good right about there. Get right where we want it. We're going to lock it in place, put some weight on it. Now it's time to apply the glue to the edges. You see I've got some wood to clamp down on it, and I'm going to use these C-clamps to hold everything in place after I apply the glue. Now I'm going to use this trowel and just apply it all along here. So this can be messy, so you have to be very careful not to get it on the other side of the carpeting, which would be really easy to do. We don't want to do that. All right, now I've got it glued. I need to just fold it over nice and tight right around the edge here. What I'll do is I'll put a piece of wood on this side on the outside and another piece on the inside to clamp it in there. You just need to snug this up. You don't need it to be a death grip on here. Just enough so that the carpeting makes good contact. Looks good there. That's good. Let's do the other three sides. Okay, we've got it all glued up all the way around. All we have to do is wait it overnight, and it's going to be dry. We can take the clamps off, and this lid is done. So on to the next one. Up here on the deck of the bass boat, the carpeting is held in place on the edges with aluminum molding, and the molding is fixed in place with pop rivets, so I can't just unscrew them out. What I have to do is drill out the very head of the pop rivet, but not go through the molding, and so I enlarge the hole. So I have to be really careful here. I need a sharp drill bit in the hands of a surgeon. Here we go. Okay, I've removed the molding. Now it's time to remove this carpeting. And just as with the lids, you want to make sure you don't rip it so that you can use this as a template for the new carpeting. So I've already started it here, so we just got to keep her going. Okay, the old carpeting is gone off the front deck, and now we have to grind this down, all the crud on here, the old glue and everything, so we can get good adhesion, just as with the lids. So I'm back here with my 40 grit paper, and we're going to be here a while doing this, I can tell you that. As you can see, I've got the old bass boat almost stripped down. I got the old carpeting off the floor here. Man, I got a lot of sanding and scraping to do to get it ready for new carpeting. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get everything off the electric sander, so I got a lot of it with the scraper. The sander took off a lot of the rough stuff, and then I had to just go to work with the scraper. And I also have to use the scraper on the side, on the edges here. There's just no room to get a sander in there, and the scraper's going to do more of the finished work anyway. So there's no way around it. You're going to have to do a little sweat and toil to get everything up. The scraper's one way to do it. For the most stubborn glue, that's the residual glue that's on there, your best bet is to get acetone and a rag and just rub it off. That'll get it right down to the glass. Now that I've got the carpeting off the front deck and I've cleaned it up pretty well, I figured it'd be a good time to mount the inset for my trolling motor pedal. All right, I finished making the hole for my inset for my foot control, and as you can see, it's a pretty darn tight fit, just the way I want it. And here we go. Man, am I gonna love that. The thing is, I'm going to put this in after I carpet it. All I have to do is cut the carpeting out, and then I can put this right on top of it, and I'll be all set to go fishing. Well, I've carpeted all the deck lids. Now I'm going to move on to actually carpeting the deck of the boat. And this operation is going to be a little bit different. First thing we need to do is just mask off the edges where we don't want that glue to get onto it. Now I use trowels to spread the glue on the lids, but I'm going to use a roller, a medium depth roller, which is recommended to spread the glue on the deck. I may also use a paintbrush to get in along the edges here. So I want to get it on quick so I can get the carpet on here before it begins to dry. All right, I've got my carpet glue spread. Now I've got to do this juggling act of laying this carpet down there and getting it pretty close so I don't spread glue where I don't want it to go. So I'm going to start in this end and just kind of roll it out and see how this works. Okay, now that I've got the carpeting over this hole for the inset, and the carpeting and the glue is dry and everything, now I can just use a razor knife to follow this edge and cut out the hole so I can use my inset. So just lay your razor knife right along that edge and follow it. Okay, I'm working on replacing the aluminum trimmer on the edge of the carpeting, and it's a pretty straightforward operation because we're just using the original holes that were in the boat and in the trim when we removed it. So we just put a pop rivet in one of the holes, work this pop rivet tool a few times, and there you go, she's in place. So all we have to do is just follow these holes all the way around the edge, and our aluminum trim will be right back where it's supposed to be. Okay folks, here I am in my newly carpeted old bass boat, 25-year-old boat. You know, nothing quite gussies up an old boat like new carpeting, and you know, I didn't do a perfect job, but I did a pretty darn good job, and gosh, it's just going to be a pleasure to fish out of this boat as good as it looks right now.